Um,
Mhm.
but if you're off the top of your head, if you have any wins that you want to share for the month of June, personal or professional, that would be cool.
Oh gosh. I don't know. We figured a lot of problems out. You figure out problems by having them, and that's the hard part. It's hard to forecast them. We've also gotten smarter, and I've just started paying really expensive people to tell me what the problems that are coming up are going to be. So I've tracked down people that are in somewhat of a business of ours. Like I got a prior marketing exec from Tony Robbins. I got a content director and a brand builder from Cody Sanchez. Basically, offer them $1,000 for a 30-minute call. Just cold called them, and the 30 and they've all accepted because it's good money. It's 2 grand an hour. Most people are willing to do that, but they're also fascinated by who's willing to pay them that. And I've put it together a snapshot of our company, where it is, where it's been, where it's going, and the amount of IP more or less I've bought for an educational and speed and a brand building business like mine has been 10 times the value that I've spent, 100 times the value that I've spent. So that's kind of a new game I'm playing.
It's pretty smart actually, and you actually are connecting with some people that are strong relationships. Like you, if you build value that quick with them and you just get something concise, you could probably leverage it again next time you need a quick text message or call. That's smart.
Just about every one of them I've asked to do like exercises of different sorts with this. So I pay them at the same rate, and everyone's been in. It's shocking how quickly. If you go look for Cody Sanchez or what's his name, Tony Robbins, you will not be able, what they will talk about is so high level and so forward looking. That won't help me in my business. It's a fraction of theirs today. But the people who are doing the work and have done the work at that time can tell me exact levers to pull tactically that I need right now instead of pie in the sky, ivory tower discussions. It's shocking how tactical it is. We
Yeah,
literally move forward multiple years in 60 days by doing it. It's incredible.
that's good. I like that, man. I like that. I'm gonna steal that little nugget. That's pretty good.
You gotta have
Uh,
a budget to throw at it. It's costing me like 20 grand in the last 30 days to have these meetings, but it it's a fraction of what it's worth.
yeah. Lynette, you got a win? You want to share?
Let's see here. A win for personal. We
Hmm.
are hosting the championship mountain bike race this weekend for my daughter's mountain bike team on home ground. So we're super excited about that. We put together a great little event, lots of sponsors and donations, and really looking forward to that. Um, business win, I would say, we were able to include 1-800 t-shirts for the sponsorship. So a lot of branding that will be done as well. Looking forward to being able to represent 1-800 t-shirts at the race.
That's awesome. I know. When is Tom's race that he's wearing all the shirts?
Gosh, October?
Okay. He's gonna break a Guinness records with wearing the most t-shirts in a marathon.
Yes, I think he can do it. I mean, he's done crazier things. So, but that looks a lot. It's actually, I think, a lot more challenging than people give it, credit to it. So, hopefully he can
Yeah,
get it done. Yes.
it's got to weigh like 40 pounds or something, isn't it?
It's ridiculous.
Stupid. Okay, so I'm going to go through, and this is the winning the talent game and how compensation determines who you attract. So, one of the things that what we have always leaned into is that people are looking at comp as a cost, and certainly it is a cost. It goes into what can I afford, but one of the thing, it's also a leverage piece. Logan was sharing right before you got on the call, Annette, about he has just said it's such a smart investment to me to get to the right people and get the answer as quick as possible, even if it costs me $1,000 for a 30-minute call. Um, Most people would say, well, that's a lot to spend. And Logan has determined there's a massive amount of value to that. And value it's worth it if the value's there, right? And so I think the same thing happens with comp. A lot of people are like, well, I don't really, I think I can get someone for cheaper than that. And you want to be the advantage. You want to be the one that everybody wants to work for. You want to attract the highest talent. So when you have your compensation aligned with that, you're going to get better candidates to choose from. So it's about, it's not just about compensation, it's about leverage. And every hiring decision costs money, time, and opportunity. Most people are looking at just the money. They're looking at like, well, it's going to cost me this much. But what is the time? Like Logan just said, $1,000. But in the last 90 days, he may have spent a lot of money, but the ROI on that money spent is massive. And it's about that piece in the hiring decision is, are you hiring and getting mediocrity in there instead of getting higher talent that's actually going to move yourself forward? No
You know
situation.
what? I'll throw something in there real quick for what
Mhm.
I've learned with comp. I used to I'm an investor in the early days, so I was really cheap, and I found that I was so frustrated with the output of everybody, and I wound up getting a really quality person with out of luck. So I started paying them more so they wouldn't leave. And I learned that person would put out literally 2 to 3 times the product of the others, and I would only pay them 50% more. And I realized I was getting a bargain by paying better people. So like today, if the market pays 70 grand for a role, I pay 100. I get someone that's got a 4.0 GPA, better degree, better experience, and they put out 2x, and I only pay them 30 to 50% X. It's like a ridiculous value lever that 90% of employers don't even fathom because they're looking at how much do I pay a day, not how much output. It's shocking.
But 100%. I think I'm glad that you said that. I think that that's exactly it, where people are like, well, I can get someone for this cheap, and they're getting someone that just barely meets the mark instead of someone that exceeds the expectations.
Yeah.
And 100%. Well said there. So go ahead and go to slide 2 for me, Karen. And so inside of this, we want to make sure hiring isn't hard. Hiring without a system is hard. And I want to make sure that people understand that, like, preferred employers remove friction before posting a job. So are you attracting applicants? Are you attracting the right applicants? One of the things what we work on really hard with clients is not just that we're recruiting, we're helping you have a better overall onboarding and hiring experience. Lynette's been on this call. She's been with our group for a little over a year, probably almost 2 years. And if you look at the things that they've improved on their onboarding, on their hiring, on their interview process, everything matters. It's not just, I just need this A player in there. I need to retain the A player. I need to get them to perform at the highest capacity. So it's all of those pieces together. Let's go to the next slide. And one of the things that we talk about is the cost. And when you look at the cost of turnover, and these are the what one turnover actually costs at different salary levels. So if you have a $50,000 role, so someone that's making 50K a year, turnover range is going to be between 15 and 25. And these are based on 30 to 50% of the annual salary. So obviously $75,000 role, a turnover cost is going to be 22.5 to 37.50. And where that matters is it's not just the turnover, like it's the that you paid the person for 3 months and they didn't perform. It's like what Logan said. He's paying someone maybe $30,000 more, but he's getting twice the output. It's the opportunity cost of when that gap is there. It's the cost of your time when you're filling the position. It's the cost of the recruiting and using other people to, screen resumes and do all that stuff. It's not just the salary, which is what most people try to figure out. You know, what is your time worth? And if I asked, I think Tony's on the call as well as Lynette and let's see, and Logan, like quantify your time. What is your time worth? If you said, well, my time is worth $250 an hour. Okay, fair enough. So if you're going to average, 30 hours that you're going to be putting into this, that is a cost of let's say $7,500. Okay, perfect. That's the cost of that. But what's that opportunity? If you were doing your highest and best use at those 30 hours, you'd probably be closing bigger deals, you'd be training other people. So it's the opportunity cost, and I don't think people factor that in nearly as much as they should. Let's go to the next slide, Karen. So every comp level recruits from a different pool. You don't get output out of this. So below market candidates are limited options. So when you're posting for a salary that's below market, you're getting candidates that are on the lower end. Um, the vacancy, the
And also remember, everyone's not applying for the job they're already at and they're already getting paid. They're applying for the one up. So you're getting people that are below that, but they're below that because they're trying to get up to that.
yeah,
So
well
it's even
said.
worse. It's multiplicative negativity.
Correct. Yeah, and we see that all the time. If you think about it, well said, Logan. If someone's looking for a job, they're either unemployed or they're looking for an opportunity that's greater, right? And in either situation, you're likely going to you're not looking at someone that is has at a higher level and they're like, I just need less responsibility. I'm going to drop down. Like in every situation, you're looking at someone who's leveling up. They're either unemployed or they're looking to level up. And so the more that you have, so what would you rather have? You'd rather have someone that is performing at a high level. They've hit a ceiling. Like they've hit a ceiling in their current employer and they're like, I've been at this level and I want to level up and I'm capable of it. That's what you're looking for. Or they're currently at that level and they're topped out in their pay and they're willing to transfer to another company that is growing and has more opportunity. One of the biggest things that I talk about with clients is they don't do enough to attract top talent. Their social media doesn't attract top talent. They're none of their marketing or whatever. It's all about client acquisition. It's not about, hey, we're a cool place to work. We're a preferred employer. These are the things we do. We're growing. Like you're telling the story, not just to attract clients, you're telling the story to attract talent. Winning that game is what wins in the long run. Let's go to the next slide. So what below market comp looks like. The role takes 60 plus days to fill. Remember, that's the opportunity cost of having that role vacant, not because the market's bad, but because strong candidates moved on after seeing the number. So as soon as they see it's like, and most of the people in our community are in real estate of some kind. It's like when you go to an agent or when an agent goes to list a house and the person goes, well, my house is worth 500,000 because my neighbor's house was worth 480 and my house is better. And the agent says, well, I'm telling you that it's not worth 500. As soon as that house is listed at 500 and it sits for 60 days, everybody's like, it's tainted. Same thing happens with a job. When you post a job and you don't get much attraction, people are like, well, there's something wrong with the job. Or why is it, I don't want to work for that amount. They don't come in and say, and there are some people that will come in and they'll apply for the job and they'll try to negotiate the rate. But for the most part, people that are highly talented, they just move on. So then the applicant pool feels strong or feels weak and thin, and you're setting yourself for the best available rather than someone genuinely strong. So you're hiring the best of the worst. The same
Pro-
see, what's that?
Probably even bad, even worse, equally as bad or worse than that is the loss of productivity. If it takes you 69 or 120 days to get someone who's not great, you've also lost a quarter of productivity. Like that's the most expensive part. If you have a business that's profitable, makes money, your productivity is more valuable than the actual overhead that it costs you to do this.
Logan, you have 100% a business mind. And honestly, I wish that everybody had that same understanding because when we're talking to people, most people, they just look at the actual cost, the nominal cost of the recruiting or the hire. They don't look at the opportunity cost, which is exactly what you just talked about. You're like, what are you missing out on in that quarter? You now have someone 50% effective in their role because they're doing two jobs. You got burnout going on, you got all these things, and you're just burning money. So the same seat has turned over more than twice in 2 years. Like that is another problem. People aren't looking at like how not just that I get a person in. People always say that like, oh, there's just no talent out there, or I need to hire only A players. And it's like, well, what are you doing to retain that A player? Because this happens frequently with us. We've recruited for people. A person gets hired, and then they let us know 2 weeks later that they've left the company and it's because there's just no onboarding process. They were sold that this was going to be a great opportunity and it's not. So it's important for retention to make sure that you have an engaging workforce that actually has challenges and it's actually going to grow. So offers get declined, candidates accept the interview but run their process and then they take something else. Um, the numbers are always a reason, like there's always a reason of why that happens. Next slide. So the gap cost versus above market comp, so again, if you have a 30-day gap cost in a role expected to close 30K a month in revenue, this is the opportunity like Logan was talking about. You're like, I'm expecting this role to do that. And then if you have, if you missed a single month or if you failed and hired, now you're at like 60K in lost production. So what would have happened if you would have paid 5 or 10K above market on that role and actually had the production and closed quicker? There's a math equation there that says if I sit on this role and I'm putting my hours into it and I have a gap in this performance for 30 to 60 days, my business isn't going to grow by 60 grand. Isn't it worth paying $5,000 more to attract the top talent? And I believe it is. And like Logan, you mentioned you've paid people more than the role was worth. You're you're the top performer out there. You're attracting the better candidates. But not only that, your business is going to grow, and you've even seen a higher output from that candidate than you would have if you just hired someone that was at the level. Next slide. So the preferred employer advantage, and this is really where we educate our clients to be. The reactive employer, the role opens, they post it, they sort through whatever applied, they pick the best available and hope the hire turns out. They restart from zero if the person turns over. Every search feels like starting over, and they can't control who shows up. And that's really the same repeated message we get over and over and over from people is like, yep, I've tried this before. This is what's going on. It's not worked. And we send them a comp analysis and we let them know what's competitive out there. And they're like, well, yeah, I just know I can get someone cheaper in my market. And it's pretty frustrating because we also see what's going on everywhere. So the preferred employer has candidates in the market that know the company pays well. So if you think about the Google of 15 years ago, we used to hear like, oh, everybody wanted to work at Google, and there'd be 1 million applicants a year and stuff like that. When you're that kind of employer, you never have a talent problem. You've always got top talent trying to apply for you. So strong candidates consider applying, not just those who ran out of options. Offers get accepted, the role feels faster. Talent comes to you, you stop chasing it. And comp is the number one signal before anybody applies. So all the other things that you can talk about that are advantages is in there as a package, but you've got to have a strong comp to start. I want to share something with you. I was talking to one of our clients about a month ago, and one of the things that they said is that everyone on our team is a millionaire. And what they said with that is that they have given their team opportunities. They have a pretty good sized team, and they've given their team opportunities to buy off-market properties, to be investors. They've given them because that's one of the things that they do. So they help people on their team have opportunities that they might not have had if they just worked for another job. So we are going to employ people and have them an opportunity to be a millionaire. A lot of companies would be looking at like, well, I just have the ability to help them, make a wage, or they have good benefits, or they've got time off. All those things are important, but think about that attraction, as you could say, when you're putting an ad out there. Our team is full of millionaires, which means it's not just comp, it's their net worth because they've been able to invest. So kind of a cool little, they were able to say that, but if that's something that you're able to do and help someone with, think about the life changing that you make with that person. Not just that you're giving them a better than average wage, but you're also giving them an opportunity to invest in their future. All right, let's go to the next slide. So what a competitive comp structure actually covers, it's the base, really, that's the floor that sets the pool. A below market base it immediately signals that your tier, which tier you're recruiting from. Variable, this is the upside. And not every role is like this, but certainly any kind of leadership role and sales role, you're going to have a variable where the outcomes are tied to what the candidate can actually control. So is there bonuses that are built in? Is there commission that's built in? And then this is a real big one for higher level talent, is a growth path. What does it look like for that person as well as opportunity? when you're talking about your growth year over year, and if you said, yeah, our company has grown 100, 200% year over year, this is the thing. A lot of people that are leaving, especially the entrepreneurial type of companies that we're working with, a lot of people are leaving corporate because they know that they're going to get a 2 to 5% raise next year. If they got a promotion, it might be 10%. If they are looking at a company where they can really gain advantage in the next couple of years, that's going to be exciting to them. So the structure of the comp has got to be more than just the base. You have to have an on-target earnings. And what does year two and year three look like? When you're have at the offer stage, you want to make sure you're selling the dream of what it looks like to be with the company for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and what that's going to do to their overall compensation. So we have a TA compensation planning tool. Go ahead to the next slide. Um, so we're helping people not just try to figure it out on their own. We've done a lot of research and we put some effort into how we can actually help people with the compensation planning. So you answer a few questions about the role and you get a tailored compensation structure, not just a generic national average. So it's role specific, it's instant output, and it replaces guesswork. So we put a lot of effort into this, and there's a lot of variables that would go into it, not just where you're at in the market, but what's the current market paying, what's the roles, what's the responsibilities, is there a bonus plan built in, is it a commission structure? But all of that, just remember that at Team Architects, this is what we do, and so we want to make sure that we are able to provide that as a resource to our clients. So when it comes down to what should I pay this person, what should my comp plan be? Understand that you can leverage us as an expert to say, here's what we see, here's some variables you should consider, here's some on-track earnings that you can have, here's what a quarterly bonus plan would look like, because it gets pretty complex when you're talking about it. It's not most of the roles that we have, they're not just like, well, I'm just going to pay this person a salary or a base and that's it. I want to make sure that I have an ability to pay them something that incentivizes their effort. All right, let's go to the next slide. So, and Amber, is this tool live now?
Yeah, there is. So it's not linked anywhere. It's live. I can get people the link. It's just not linked in the current platform. It'll kind of go up with the little bit of a refresh that we're doing.
So I would encourage Lynette, I would encourage you to play with this a little bit. We put a lot of effort into it, Amber has, but if you get in touch with Amber and you go through and you maybe run, especially with you where you're at with your current positions, as well as the open position you have, and you start to just look at like, what does our output look like? I know you've leveraged some AI and had done like we put quite a bit of work into this in order to see if we can be a little bit more accurate. So it's one of the things that I'd want you to kind of beta test with us, Lynette, and see how it compares to what you see from a compensation.
That would be great.
It does
I
come up,
just linked it in the chat.
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you.
It comes out with a pretty good report too, and it's one of the things that when people come to us and we say, well, do you already have a comp plan for this? And they go, yeah, I think it's this. We run our own analysis and we come back and we say, here's what we see. And that doesn't mean that we're right or you're right. I just want to give you another piece of data to say, here's what we're seeing, so that ultimately we're not going to tell the client what they need to pay someone. We're telling the client what we believe the compensation needs to be to attract the talent they're looking for. That's our goal to advise on. All right, let's go to the next slide. So what changes when the comp is right before the search starts? So one thing is that 97% match score. And Amber, what exactly does that mean on the 97% TA12 match score?
So this is actually specifically referring to, we did a case study recently with Paramount Home Group, and we interviewed the candidate who actually applied and got hired. And through him, once he was in place, they actually used TA, I want to say 2 more times after that. and got 2 more roles filled to like get their kind of all their different leadership in place. But this is just thrown in there because we completed that. And it also is a really good example of when your comp is right and getting the right person, the kind of snowball effect of that. So this is just pulled from that case study.
And what we've seen, so again, this is real important to understand the opportunity cost. What we've seen, if I was to say, how soon do you need to have this role applied? And if someone's like, well, I want to hire as quick as possible. Well, what is a day, every day of vacancy in this role costing your business? Meaning you're having the owner is spending more time working on this, or you have, you're losing sales or whatever it is. If you have a daily quantified cost that it is costing you by not having this role, and you said, okay, so what happens if we go to 90 days? How much is that going to cost? And there's a number that will come out of that. When that number comes out of it, let's just say that, you know what? If this goes to 90 days, it's going to be a net cost to the business of $10,000. Wouldn't it be worth it to raise your compensation in order to get that role filled quicker and have that ongoing production? And it's a really hard conversation because people are like, well, what if it's not a good person? Well, one way to guarantee that you're not going to have a strong person is to be below the market. And
Yep.
a lot of people are so stuck on what rates were a few years ago from a compensation. The game really changed after COVID when remote roles became more readily available. The compensation structure increased quite a bit because you had talent that no longer needed to be in the office and they started seeking other roles. And what we've seen is that it's much more competitive out there from a compensation. And if you're not competitive, one, you're not going to be able to hire as quick, and two, you're not going to be able to retain people as quick. It's just 100% true. And the other thing is, especially if you're requiring someone to be in office, it's almost like you would have to pay a percentage higher for the same position because the person having to be in office is not as attractive than someone that's able to be remote. So let's just say, for example, you're going to pay someone $80,000 a year and they're going to be remote. If you want them to go into office, it might cost you $85,000 to $90,000 a year because that is now less attractive to that person. All right, let's go to the next slide. So,
And then actually, this is good. Tony asked in the chat, is there a good assessment tool to filter good candidates before the interview process? So this is just a little bit on that actually. Yeah.
Tony, what do you mean by that? I saw it real quick. I was going to get to that when we got to the questions, but I kind of want to understand what you mean by the assessment tool.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing. I've been told like for candidates, for example, if you're looking for an acquisition manager or whatever, it's good to go in and throw out the assessment tool. And I haven't really looked into what that is, but to filter what you're looking for to make sure you can narrow that, person down, 10, 20 people down to 4 or 5 that you need to be interviewing because you don't want to waste a bunch of time interviewing everyone, right?
So, is Tony, I'm curious because you're on this call.
Mhm.
Have you used Team Architects at all?
No, zero.
Okay.
I keep getting emails to join you guys, so I thought I'd try this one.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we've just set this call out to everybody that is on our mail list. And
Yep.
I know
Our
Tony,
email
Tony,
broadcast list.
I know you're in the boardroom and I know that
Yeah.
that's a big reason that you're on the list. So yes, to answer your question, everybody else that's been on this call, like Lynette, has used us both to do it themselves and also for our recruiting services. Logan just joined to use our recruit. We're actually actively recruiting for a role for Logan. The rest of the people on this call are on my team. To answer your question, we have an assessment that's called the TA12. There's 12 areas that assessment assesses, and it's 8 of them are in personality and 4 of them are in cognition. Cognition is
Mhm.
logical problem solving, rapid problem solving, spatial visualization, and vocabulary. But it assesses adaptability, assertiveness, responsiveness, intensity. Um, uh, uh, I'd have to think without looking at all of them. Anyways, it assesses other areas. And here's the thing, Tony, is it actually gives you a score. So if you're looking at someone that is an operations manager or an executive assistant or a sales manager or an acquisitions agent or whatever, what'll happen is where you are on that scale will actually give a score. So yes, to answer your question, 100%. I will tell you that anybody that's ever used this assessment won't hire without it. That's just plain and simple. They will not know, they'll no longer hire without it. And 100%, if you had, as an example, what we had seen as the numbers, we had 191 average applications. So let's just say we run a roll, and on average, with the 20,000 positions that we've run, we see an average of 191 people apply. Of that 191, every single person gets a link to the assessment. The assessment's a 45-minute commitment. It takes them time to go through it. It actually gives them the score. We have 26 of them complete the assessment. So that's only 13.8%. That means every single other person you're not going to talk to. Now you could say, well, I looked at their resume first and I really want them to talk. I want to talk to that person. I would still make sure that they took the assessment before I talk to them. From that 13.8%, you only get 8 of them that are a high fit, which means that only 30% of those, after they've taken the assessment, pass the assessment and say that they have the right personality for it. So if you're looking at a funnel, you're just reducing the funnel as you go down so that you're getting curated to 3 highly qualified people. Maybe it's 10, maybe it's 15. Maybe you get people that go all the way through the funnel and they have the qualifications that you need from a resume standpoint, meaning that they've had some experience that you're looking for. They pass the assessment, but you're not going to call 191 people. You just say, in order to apply, I expect to see a resume in PDF or document format, not just typed in an email. Like you're keying in, can they follow instructions? And all you're doing is getting rid of the crap. And so
Yeah.
our assessment is massively valuable for that trick. And there's a lot of people that go, well, the person didn't pass the assessment, but I know they're coming to me as a referral. And I say, are you willing to take that risk?
Mhm.
They didn't, there's a red flag popped up here that they didn't pass the assessment. What is that telling you? Either they didn't pay attention, they don't have the proper cognition. You're knowingly taking on a risk to your job, to your employment. Do you really want to do that? And we just don't, and it's happened again and again and again. I don't know how many times, Amber, you've heard it, but I heard it yesterday. Someone said, yep, the assessment told me I shouldn't have hired someone. 5 months later, I realized I shouldn't have hired that person. And you think about that as an opportunity cost. So you have a bad employee for 5 months. What does that do for you? You know?
Okay. So is there somewhere, do you guys build that out, or is it somewhere I could get like a generic one, or how, because I'm just,
Yeah. So we have 186 roles that we assess for, Tony.
Mhm.
So how big is your team?
I'm just growing it. I'm trying to get so I'm three or four now, but we're looking to
Okay.
hire, potentially another
Yeah.
or one or two.
What are the positions on your team right now?
Just an executive assistant and then a dispo/acquisition manager. He does both, kind of do.
Okay.
Mhm.
So what I would say, Tony, what I'll offer to you as a boardroom member, and don't tell anybody this, right? I'll send you, I'll get you because you don't have 10 people and there's a massive
No.
amount of value to this right here, but
No, I don't.
I'll
Yeah.
get
So,
you, I'll get you a link to the assessment.
I
I'll
appreciate it.
have you take it. I'll
Okay.
have your team take it. This is like, I got to make sure it's clear on you. It's a 45-minute commitment. Don't walk away from the computer. You got to be non-distracted. It'll time out on you. It'll impact the score. So make sure your
Okay.
executive assistant, everybody takes it the right way.
What
And
it,
then I'll get on a call with you and I'll go over how the scores came out what kind of red flags showed up with your EA, with your dispo person, with your acquisitions person. If your acquisitions person is better fit for
So,
acquisitions and you want to keep them in and you want to hire dispo. What's that?
nothing. I'm listening. I'm having a little bit of lag on my computer.
Yeah. So if your acquisitions person is better fit for acquisitions and you're like, well, I want to see, then I want to hire for dispo. If you see that they're better fit for, at least you have the decision that you can make there. I can also look at leadership potential with everybody. But I think that call itself, we would plan on after you get those people to take the assessment, we'll give you, and it helps you manage and lead them. For example, I'm super intense and I'm super independent. And I know whenever I'm talking to someone that's more relaxed, I've got to be able to show up in a way that they're not thinking that I'm angry because I'm super intense, right? So it's a very valuable tool for you also from a leadership perspective, not just from uh, um, not just from a hiring perspective. Okay. So I'm going to tell you that that's $1,000 value that I'd offer you to do that. We'll get the team to send it out. Karen, if you could just send him out the assessment, create an assessment link for him, make sure the results come to me. And then once I get your team, Tony, to take the results or to take the assessment, and then you get the results, I'll hop on a call with you and I'll go through how the assessment works and how you can understand it and how you can leverage it for leadership. And then in the future, if you need to use it, okay?
Okay, I appreciate that. And myself taking the test, obviously it's going to point out all my flaws, but is that what we're doing it to see where my
Yeah.
strong suits are?
Well, I wouldn't say because you're a founder, it's actually common that people don't do well. You're not employable, dude. You're not going to quit this and go get a job. Like, don't worry about that. It's more about where are your edges going to rub with other people on your team so that we look at polarizing traits. Like I said, for me, my two most polarizing, I'm very independent and I'm very intense. And so in doing so, I know that if someone else is, if let's say, Tony, if you were really intense, you and I aren't going to have a clash there. But if you're really relaxed, you're going to read me as always angry. And so I have to know that and I have to show up a little bit different. It's something that I've learned about myself when I lead and manage people because of my assessment. So it'll be really helpful for you, not for like, where's my weaknesses or my strengths? It's more of where are my edges going to rub with my team member? And everybody that comes on, you're going to
Okay,
always
I
be able
guess we
to,
can.
you're going to compare you to them. Every single person that comes on your team, you'll be able to go, okay, this is how I need to lead this person.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess we'll have a chat if you have some time after we take the test. Appreciate it.
Yep,
Yep.
absolutely. Okay, let's jump to the
Well,
next.
it looks like Karen's already on it, so you should have that link in your email very shortly.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then three things to do before you next hire. So run open roles through the comp tool. So if you have any open, Tony, you said you're going to be growing. So as you're getting to where you're starting to grow and you want to look at like what should the compensation for this position be based on where you are. I think you're in Northern California, but let's just say wherever you are, you need to know. You'll be able to do that and calculate your last two turnovers. Like what was the recruiting cost, the onboarding, the ramp up time? Like how much did it cost your business in opportunity as well as hard cost? And then decide which tier you're recruiting from. So do you feel that you're at market, below market, or above market? Each is a choice, make it consciously, but having the math behind it to know that you're saying that, man, I am really strong in this, or don't say, I think I'm okay. I think I'm at market. Say, no, I have a strong position and I'm excited about it. One thing that happens when people contact us to do recruiting and we start talking about comp, our team gets excited when we see that the role is strong. And it's not because, Tony, you don't know how we charge, but we don't charge based on the percentage of the role. So let's say a lot of recruiting companies charge 25% of the compensation. We don't. We have a flat fee. So it doesn't benefit us if someone pays more. All it does is if we just know we're going to get better candidates. So it's exciting for our team to know that like our client's going to be really happy because they're actually paying an attractive role. Like people will want to apply for it. All right, let's go to the last slide here, Karen. So ready to filter for your next hire, Team Architects places data scored candidates for real estate operators who are done guessing. One assessment, every candidate, no exceptions. So if you are, and Tony, there's a couple ways that you can work with us. One is you do it yourself. You have access to the assessment. You run your own ad. You screen the people yourself. And Tony, I know you're a broker, so this is like having someone being told that they can list their own house. Yep, they can list their own house, and they can sell their own house, and it comes with a risk. It also, comes with a lot of work. That means that they're gonna have to show their own house, and they're gonna have to market their own house. And if someone asked you, like, well, why would it be advantage to have you list my house? You're going to give them a 10-point checklist of what makes you better. You do this every day. You know the market better. You know how to market it better. You know the risks that they have with the contract, all that stuff. It's the same thing with us. This is what we do. So people hire us because, yes, there's a fee associated with it. Just like when you list a house, you're going to pay something, but there's a massive value associated with that fee. And our value is we're going to prevent you from having the problems that cost time and that cost turnover. And that's really the value point that we have, our value prop, is that on average, you're going to save on both time, which is your expense, as well as turnover, which is a massive expense. So that's the number one reason people use us. Cool. Any questions? I know we tangent a little bit there. Tony got a little bit of feedback. Lynette, do you have any questions on that? I'm excited about you using that comp tool and kind of seeing what you come up with.
No questions. I'm excited as well.
Yeah. And then Tony, since you're the only other one on the call, do you have any questions?
No, just listening and kind of seeing where this could go. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you get those assessments, Tony, like I said, it'll be about this time of day is a good time for me. I'll end up, we'll schedule a call and I'll get you ahead of time, like after you tell me who you had on the team take the assessment and everybody's done. I'll take a peek at them and I'll let you know, do you just want it to be you and I, or if it's someone that you want to have on the call that we can explain the assessment results with. It's really helpful. I know Lynette's been through that situation a couple times, and now she's educated and able to understand the assessment. It's very, very helpful. So it'll not just be about you getting your results and understanding them. It's about understanding the tool moving forward.
Perfect.
Cool.
Thank you.
Unless there's any other questions, that concludes our call today. Everyone, have a great rest of your Thursday.
Thank you. Enjoy your
All right.
weekend.
Appreciate it, Brandon.
Got
Thanks,
the
guys.
link sent
Take
already.
care. All right.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.